No.
Hello, everybody. Zero interest. Yay.
Boy, was that episode better than the last one.
Yeah. So, we're a little tired. We were supposed to be recording a podcast today, but that fell through for reasons. So instead, we're recording more of this. Yay!
You really wanted to record this.
I did, but I'm groggy as balls. So
All right, so we open on Weiss, and she's walking through some very good-looking concept art, and uh, we get into an actually modeled place, and we meet Whitley, her brother.
no idea.
Uh,
I'm not even gonna ask.
yeah, I have no clue either. And Whitley's like, "Oh, father's been yelling with somebody, and I just
Mother's
wanted
drunk
to let
in the
you."
garden.
Yeah, mother's drunk in the garden. Just wanted to give you a warning for when you go talk to father. And she's like, "Wow, you're being nice. You you hated winter. Why you praising you're praising her now?" And like, it's like, "Oh, people grow up. I've not been standing still here where you've been at Beacon." And then he walks away, and I'm thinking, what a pretentious a-hole. I don't like him.
It's not pretentious when you are basically a Rockefeller.
I know, but I don't like him. Funnily enough, he has the white hair of Casey and also the blue eyes. What if this character's actually a younger Casey when his life was full of hope?
I think we see Casey's character in a couple minutes, so I wouldn't worry about
uh,
it. Also, we get a lingering shot on a family portrait where the only people that are smiling in it are Daddy, Schnee, and Whitley. There's a reason for that.
well, he's kind of. It's not really easy to see smile, but yeah. Basically, I don't like Whitley. I have the feeling that he's manipulative and evil. Uh, because if Winter's the good one, and she's still like she's better, but she is genuinely caring. But I'm getting the impression that Whitley is he's been kind of left alone with his dad,
Hmm.
and that's probably affected him in some adverse ways. Because his dad, well, we'll get to that in a little bit because we went over to the next part, which was with Ruby and her team, which is Ranger, Junior, and
Established as Ranger, yes.
they're looking at a map and trying to find out where to go, and they find a ruined town, and
Oh, and they make hints of Joan's backstory again. Hey,
yeah,
he had 7 sisters, and they were a very close family. Like, they had very... It still bothers me. It still bothers me. It's always going to bother me until they explain it. So,
yeah, 7 sisters, and they would braid his hair,
hmm.
and so he had to live in a place different from them. Uh, so there you go. It makes me wonder if Jean is the youngest of his siblings, and they just kept trying until they got a boy to continue that hero bloodline that they wanted.
I... People seem to have... I don't think they've established where he comes in the sibling hierarchy, the order.
Because
Because everyone seems to have a different interpretation of it in fanfiction, so...
it sounds like he's the youngest, and I have the feeling that if he's from a bloodline of heroes and he has to live up to expectations, it's because he's the only boy that was born after 7 or 8 tries.
I'm assuming he's probably at the younger end, yes.
Because everybody was braiding his hair.
Hmm.
And he seems like the type that would have older sisters rather than younger, just personality wise.
Even so, even if all his sisters were younger, you get swarmed by 7 girls, they're gonna do stuff to your hair. It's not really a choice you have at that point.
I know my older sister made me when I was younger. She made me She dressed me up when I was little. My older sister.
I don't think mine did, to be honest. In fairness, I used to throw toys at her. So
In fairness, my older sister would steal my toy on Christmas. Yeah. I open up, we have it on video, a home video. I open up a present on Christmas, and then my sister takes it from me. So, yeah. And I was a little baby. And, anyways, moving on. Sister traumas aside, they're in town that was, hey, attacked by bandits.
I was overjoyed at this news.
Oh yeah, and they're like, "Oh, we gotta save this guy who's dying," and it's like, "No, it's too late. He's dead." And they walk over, rather Ren walks over, and he's very somber about this whole thing because he's normally serious, anyways. But he seems more like, I don't know. He seems much more
Even
invested
more than usual. And
yeah, and he walks over, and he and Nora see a symbol in the ground, and they kind of like their eyes narrow, and they look at each other, and I'm like, do they know these bandits? Do they know of them? Were they like victims of a bandit attack, or were they part of a bandit group? I doubt that, but they're probably victims.
That was a footprint.
Footprint? Oh, I thought it was like a symbol or something. Okay. Oh no, that's a footprint.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that doesn't look like any footprint I've ever seen.
Yeah. So it's probably not from a human then, is it?
Is it like a giant horse grim or something?
You're surprisingly astute when I give you hints like this. I should stop doing it.
Because like it has that horse print sort of, yeah, giant horse.
Yeah. Then we move on to the Schnee household again,
and we have good old Jacques Schnee is arguing with good old Ironwood. It's like, oh man, you're making this embargo happen, and I hate you. I'm losing money. Get out of my face, you dirty animal. And, Weiss is entering in on this. And Ironwood, as he leaves, is like, hey, you always have a place at Atlas Academy. And, that leaves her alone with her father. And her father's like, hey, what, have you forgotten your manners? And he proceeds to rant about...
it's very... a specific moment he's calling out, like when Ironwood, like they turn to see her there, and Ironwood is like, oh, was she? I apologize, I was here too long. And she's like, it's okay. That's not the language you use in that household. That you would use, that's quite alright, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So that's what he was calling out. It's a very, very small misstep, and that's probably kind of the point.
Yeah. And basically, her father explains, people were blaming Atlas for what happened to Vale and everything. And, oh, man, now Ironwood and the council was putting an embargo on all dust out of Atlas in case a war starts up. So tensions are really ramping up.
Yeah. I wish Ironwood was less of a decent guy, because he's such a fucking muppet. I swear to God. Like, okay, everyone is under the impression that Atlas caused what happened in Beacon, because, they're robots, they're brand new, live robots, and mechs that were supposed to be piloted but weren't, were attacking Vale citizens and helped in the destruction of Beacon Tower. And his response to this is to say, okay, let's hoard our resources. Those resources that we export and are one of the biggest assets everyone has in fighting the Grimm. So let's hoard resources, like we're stockpiling for war, and stop anyone else from getting what they need so that they can protect themselves.
Yeah.
That doesn't send the best message if you're trying to make sure that war doesn't happen. That's the exact opposite of what you do. Holy shit.
Especially, like, we saw the World of Remnant on the Schnee Dust Company, and they are the main dust transporter to every place, every continent, every country
Yep.
gets their dust from the Schnee Dust Company.
Yep. We even have plot elements where they run other companies out of business. That is a plot element that they explicitly
And
said happens.
if you put an embargo on them, I mean, more than just the millions lost aside, people are going to run out of dust.
Yeah. Jacques Snee is the worst person to make this argument against Ironwood because he is entirely self-serving and that undercuts his arguments. But he's not wrong. This is a terrible idea.
Yeah. I mean, money aside, it's a mess. And, it's not going good. Aside from that,
He says, hey, we need to send a message that, right on the grounds where everything happened, there was a Schnee fighting to protect the citizens of Vale and defend Beacon. So we're going to have a concert and you are going to perform. I think it would be best if you were to perform. Sorry, I'm misquoting him.
yeah. And she's like, are you asking me or telling me? It's like, the people would be very happy if you were to perform.
I think it would make everyone very happy.
Yeah. And then she's like, okay, well, I'll start practicing. He's like, that's my girl. And you begin to, like, it was mentioned in the World of Remnant, but they have great PR.
You get the impression that either they told him to do this or he has been doing this for so long that he knows the moves to make.
I think it's him doing this because he was able to convince good old Saint Nick to hand over the company to him. I think he's very good at making himself look good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he is very good at making himself look good because at this point in the show, I thought he was pretty okay. Like, yeah, a very distant father and kind of controlling a bit. But it seemed like he had his head on straight. And yeah, I was kind of okay with him. It didn't hurt that he had a very good fucking point against what Ironwood was doing. That's how good a characterization this is. Because even I was kind of on his side in this scene.
Yeah. I don't like him, though. I want to punch him. I want to punch a lot of people in the Schnee family. I want to punch Whitley. I want to punch the dad. I don't want to punch Weiss. Weiss is precious. Must protect her.
Winter has her moments.
Winter has her moments. The drunken mom. Debatable.
Haven't seen it yet, so.
Yeah. And so she leaves, and she's greeted by Clint.
Klein.
Or whatever. Klein, yeah. Calvin Klein. And this guy, I'm calling, since she's like Snow White, he's like the seven dwarves in one person.
Absolutely right. His name is Klein Sieben. Sieben being seven in German.
And he literally, his eyes change and he switches through personalities a lot. Eyes go red, he's grumpy. Eyes go blue, he's sneezy.
Yellow was, I'm assuming, happy?
Or dopey.
Possibly dopey.
So
possibly
that's kind of,
I don't know.
But that's really interesting to see that the seven dwarves are one person with multi-personality disorder.
Basically, yeah. It's his semblance. It's obviously his semblance because his eyes change color. So
yeah,
not all semblances are beneficial.
No, and that's kind of a really cool touch. Then we go to the part that broke my heart. Ruby wakes up and she hears Pyrrha talking, and she's like, "Okay, what's
This
happening?"
happened a couple times in the episode, to be clear.
Yeah,
Her having nightmares of black inky blackness, Mass Effect
and
style, and then
Pyrrha's voice.
Pyrrha's voice.
And so she gets up and she walks over, and she sees Jean has a recording of Pyrrha telling him to train and how to train, and he is practicing alone at night when everybody else is sleeping, listening to that, and it is a kind of heartrending message that ends with, I'm so happy to be in your life, and other things, and
I'll always be with you.
And then he replays the video, and then he continues to practice, and
you get the impression he doesn't need the video for training purposes. He doesn't need it. It's like a minute long, and it has instructions for 3 strikes. This is a snippet of a much longer video that she made for his training sessions when she couldn't be there. And he's just listening to it over and over again because he misses her that much. He wants to hear her voice again.
And it is like Jean. He's been a dope in all the previous seasons. He's been, he's made a lot of mistakes. He's been the butt of many jokes. But it was this scene, like, I felt like he was a really, like, cool character for that scene. Yep. I felt like, man, John's cool now. Because he's like, he's serious about it. He's serious about wanting to get stronger. He's got that, like, that sort of that main character type motivation, I guess. And,
kind of. He has a main character type motivation like Simone from Gurren Lagann has the main character motivation.
Yeah.
It's like he's not quite there yet. Like he's not quite ready for prime time. So to speak.
He's not, but he's getting there, and I think that's what makes it so cool, is that we're seeing legitimate, like, character progression in this episode. There's, like, no jokes in this episode. I think at the beginning there's a few, but there's, like, aside from that, there's almost nothing. And I feel like because of that, they were able to focus more on the characterization in terms of character arc progression, and I am really enjoying what they're doing with Sean right now, because that's the kind of stuff that I like, is when you have that character who still will train alone in the woods after everyone's gone to bed, and he's, like, really devoted. Like, I don't know, I like the hard work that he's putting in. It makes him more, I guess I can root for him a lot more than other characters do it.
I mean, the implication is this is what he did before anyway, even while they were still at Beacon.
Yeah.
This was his training sessions with Pyrrha, so he's just continuing those training sessions in whatever manner he can.
But, like, he swings his sword, and now there's, like, it rustles the grass from, like, 20 feet away. And, like, you can tell his swings are much more powerful compared to when he was flailing about in the first season.
And second season.
And a little bit in the third.
He was solid in the third.
He was much more solid, but he was still, like he didn't actually hit many things with his sword and deal a lot of damage. It was more like he was able to use strategy and to shield a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah. I know I'm talking about Jean for a long time, but
he was a focus in this episode, so
yeah.
Makes sense.
And the episode is called Remembrance, so it is.
It's always nice when you can have a title that kind of wraps around the entire episode. Like the White stuff as well was also about Remembrance. They're setting up a concert
Yeah.
in memory of the people that were lost and to benefit the people that are still there.
And Ren and Nora seem to remember something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
they have a shared history, and there are hints to that here.
So there's a lot going on in this episode, and episode 1 had a lot of action, had some jokes I felt that were forced. But episode 2 feels like a much more natural continuation of the end of season 3, if that makes sense. I mean, we start with Weiss. So
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know whether you noticed. It felt like there was a lot less music in this episode. It felt very still.
Yeah, there was. I'm not sure if there was really any music.
I don't think there was any for the Whitley scene. I don't think there was any for the scene with Jacques and Ironwood and Weiss.
There was music for when they came upon the bandit town.
Yeah, there was when Weiss was walking through the mansion. I believe there was a light underscore to it.
But it was like you said, it was very light. The music that was there, and I like where it's going. Really. Like, this is a really solid, all-around good episode.
Sad making, though.
Oh, I was feeling really terrible. I was like, oh.
Yep, this is another one of those episodes where I cried the first time I watched it. It really got to me in a bad way. It was not good when I watched this first time.
I was close. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. Worth noting, it is easiest thing in the world to make me cry. Like, slightest sad thing, my sinuses start stinging and all that stuff. It doesn't take much, but this just got me completely. Which is great. It's terrible, but it's great. Like, if there's one thing you want a story to do, it's make people feel. That's one of the main goals, and this show is very good at it, at least recently.
You want to tell a story that's able to make us care about the characters and evoke emotions when the characters go through things.
Yeah,
I guess
you want the audience to empathize with them, or at the very least sympathize.
Empathy, not sympathy, more so, I guess. Because you want them to really feel what they're going through, and yeah, even if you're not a fan of Pyrrha or anything, you have to admit it's pretty sad.
Yeah, pretty sad. Speaking of sad, we have other fun stuff coming up that is going to be fun.
Oh no. Oh, I don't like that phrase.
Bear in mind, this season is about everyone moving on, so we get sections for every character.
Mm-hmm.
So that's RWBY, obviously, on her journey. You have Weiss at the mansion. You have Blake doing
and Yang.
what she's doing, and
Yang. Which is probably going to depress me a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's that.
Just go on without me. Let me die. Oh, hey. I found a video game that I haven't played. I should probably play that at some point. Alright.
Yeah, so I just want to add on to our discussion about the opening that we had last week with how generic it is and how it could be from any anime. Yeah, I still stand by this. It could... Like, it's an anime-style opening, as in they took a pop song and slapped it onto some footage from the series and called it an opening. Is what it feels like. I think They could have served themselves a lot better by having this season's opening be a lot more somber, because that is very much the tone this season has.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's partially an action show, so you want to keep, the energy up, I guess, but it doesn't really fit this season. And I feel that's a thing that they were good at. Like, the tone didn't always have to match. Like, season 3 is a perfect example. That didn't really match the tone of the show as it was and how it had been, but it absolutely matched the season.
I think that the opening, like, it's all about being hopeful, but I think you can make it somber and still have that undertone of we can actually come through this and be hopeful. You just like imagine there's a dial of like despair and on one end, hope on the other. They kind of went all the way over here, like towards really like right next to hope, when they should have been more in the middle, I guess.
I wouldn't even say the middle, but I've seen the whole season, and it's... Yeah.
Too far to the right for you? Too far to the hope side?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the episode. We'll be back with another one.
I see the thumbnail for the next episode, and boy,
I don't know what the thumbnail is, so
it's called Stowaways and Runaways and Stowaways. It's got lake right there, so yay.
Bye.
That can't possibly be said. Bye.